Okay, we're back. Sister Wives is back. If you are new to the channel, and I saw that we got like 25 new followers this morning alone. I'm Nikki, this is John. We watch Sister Wives, John very begrudgingly. We've done so for like 12 seasons, 11 seasons. All of our previous recaps are in playlist below, so if you're new to the channel, welcome. Wow, what a season. This is something that's finally happening for longtime viewers, we've said.
So let's just catch them up real quick. Last season, we deal with, what's her name?
Christine.
Christine leaving. And this season, guess what the whole season's about? Christine leaving. Oh,
yeah.
Also COVID, because, you know.
And still COVID. 3 seasons in, it's still COVID.
That's still a thing.
So this is season 17, episode 1, It's Over.
It's only 1 hour.
So that's actually something that's really a pretty big deal because for the past, I don't know, million seasons, it's been a 2-hour show. Now, we've always complained. We've always said it doesn't need to be an hour, 1 hour. It doesn't need to be a 2-hour show because they show what's going to happen, then they show it happening, then they showed what they just showed happening.
You mean like the last 3 seasons?
I mean, it's been like that for 10 years, I feel like. I feel like since we started recapping, basically, it's been
sure
like that.
Doesn't just feel like an hour.
So it's 2-hour episodes, but they always would edit them down to 1 hour and replay, which John was really bitter about. He's like, let's just watch it in 2 weeks when they do the 1 hour episode. I was like, that's not how this works. But it does make me, so on one hand, we've been saying for years it should be a 1 hour episode. Now it's a 1 hour episode, but I'm worried that means that this is the last season we're going to get.
We can only hope.
Because I have to hold out until something happens with Janelle, because we're noticing a pattern. I want to say, though, that the one thing this episode has done is, like, if there was any doubt that we were wrong, we weren't wrong. We were not wrong. Neither were you. I mean, we never say anything
I'm never wrong.
That people in the comments aren't like, I thought the exact same thing. I've been saying that for years. They add on to it. A lot of times they have great observations. So we're all right. John, me, and you are all right because she said all of the stuff that we have been saying for years, which is that he doesn't have an equal relationship among the 4 wives. I mean, super clear now with Mary on the outs. But from the very beginning, we were like, he's not treating all the wives the same. He favors Robin. There's special rules for Robin all the way through. Now, if you're new to the channel and you feel like we're being too nice to anyone, please go back to the past seasons because we were never too nice to anyone. You've never been too nice to anyone.
Something I've never been told.
Well, no, when people sometimes are like, you're too nice to Mary, I'm like, oh, trust me, go back. We were plenty mean to Mary at the appropriate times, blah, blah, blah. So they do a quick recap, which is that she moved his stuff out.
Quick.
And then, Mary is in it. Anyway, Cody, this whole thing about how they weren't going to have intimate relationships anymore, and she was out, and Janelle, we find out that Janelle has got COVID, so we didn't even really see Janelle this episode. And some portions of this were clearly filmed with their own cameras. Looks very, very, like...
professional.
So anyway, majority of the episode...
It's hard to watch.
So we see the beginning thing, and Christine looks so good in the intro, which they clearly filmed when she was free, because she's like, and wind is blowing, her hair is blowing. They've gotten rid of the serial killer one that was like for 2 or 3 seasons. They changed the intro, so it was a total like serial killer, you know, kind of like snapped kind of thing.
Based on the previews, we know why that was there.
So Cody is just ranting, and he just says right off the bat, well, I'm going to go talk to, my stuff's been moved out. I'm going to go talk to Robin because Robin's really good at relationships. I'm like, you're going to go talk to Robin because she's your only functional wife at this point. That's all there is to it. Like, just say that because she's the only one I talk to. He doesn't talk to Mary. He's admitted he doesn't talk to Mary. Mary is only there because he literally will never say you have to leave. And because Robin keeps begging her to stay and to work on it.
Yeah,
So he says, so I went over to Chris, I'm going to go talk to Christine. She moved all my stuff out. And she's like, well, you should go sleep on the couch. And he's like, I'm not going to do that. She's like, well, if it's a relationship, you need to work on it. I'm not going to do that. Blah, 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 blah. You said you're not buying any of this advice from her. She's just doing it for the camera.
Yeah. She's useless.
So
as long as she gets her way, she doesn't care what happens, which is why we're in the place we are.
We?
Well,
They?
They.
So she's like, you gotta go work on it. You gotta talk to him. You gotta do stuff. And he's like, no, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that. I shouldn't have talked to you. And I'm like, I am no Robin apologist by any means. You can watch go to any of our past recaps. I probably am not saying such nice things. I will say in this one case, even she has more like you should do something than Cody does. Like so later on when Christine says you're not willing to work on this, and he's like, oh, how dare you say that? It's like even Robin's suggestions he doesn't want to hear. He doesn't want to hear that he should work on it. If she doesn't respect that this is his house, and first off, it is not, I bought this house, I bought this furniture. No, TLC bought that money.
Yeah.
TLC bought that house for you. You didn't, and even if you say, like, if we bought this house together, because we bought it, and he and me, and that's us. If there are 4 other wives going on, that he contributed maybe 20% to this house, and they all contributed 20% to each house. Like, I'm not buying this whole, like, I bought this house. They bought this house, and in fact, TLC bought this house. So she's like, you need to go, you need to look on the, And he's like, well, I don't want to be sexist, but why do I have to sleep on the couch? This whole thing.
Because you're a jerk.
It's so frustrating to listen to him. This is why I have considered going back to school to become a therapist, to help people. I will not be doing marriage counseling because I have to take a side. And in this case, it would be the side of his face with my boot. No, I mean, I wouldn't be violent. But it's just, I was so frustrated listening to him take zero responsibility. It's like, you blame this all on me. And she'd be like, no, I don't. Don't blame this all on you. Very calm. And he'd be like, blah, 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 blah. And then he would say something. He would be like, I never said that. And then he would be like, but, you're wrong because, and he would then imply that he said it and he was right for saying it. And we have numerous examples in my notes of times when he was like,
I didn't say that.
I didn't say that, but you're ugly.
But when I said that.
Right. I never said I want to have sex with you, but I don't want to have sex with you because you don't listen to this. And it's like, okay, either you said it or you didn't say it, but you can't say that you said it and it's justified and you didn't say it and you're crazy for implying you did. So he gives a whole big summary of the relationship. I never wanted to marry you. I was forced into marrying you. He wants nothing to do to help the situation. He wants to blame everyone else. He doesn't tell Robin this stuff like, I told her that she's unattractive and she's a burden to me, and that, he does this kind of like, as soon as she kind of is like not 1,000% in his corner how wronged he's been, and she's like, maybe you should work on it, maybe you should talk to her, maybe you should do therapy and work at it. He's like, bah, I never should have told you. Sort of, not quite that rude, because I'm pretty sure she would have got mad. So then she's like, we've all been there. We've all kicked Cody out. Mary, Janelle, Robin, we've all... Oh, no, he said that. She said, this happens, this is normal. Then he's like, they've all kicked me out. Mary, Janelle, Robin, Christine, they've all kicked me out. And it's like, dude...
Look in the mirror, maybe there's a problem with that guy.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that we can point the problem back to you. I've never kicked John out. John's never slumped off and disappeared for a day or two. This whole, like, I don't want to be sexist, but why do I have to leave? Because she's raising your kids. That's how it's always been, as we will see later on. She's always been responsible for the child care. So then, we cut.
They go to the hospital when, what's his name, takes care of him.
Yeah. When Cody watched Truly, she ended up in the hospital and almost died. Terrible, terrible, distressing, and I will tell you from when that came up last year, people never have forgiven him. There's not that they should, but I will tell you that when that topic came up again, it was like there was as much vengeance for him, because I don't think we were recapping during that time. I think we started on season 6, if I remember correctly, and people are just as hot about that now. I'm still hot about, it was the first season, and we'll get to it, when she gave birth to Truly, and instead of him rushing to the hospital, he ran to go kiss Robin first. And I have never forgiven him for that. And I will always, when she was like, well, things were okay, and she didn't say before Robin, but she was like, when I was pregnant with Truly, which is when he was, we know, you know, we know, you know, everyone knows. I actually kind of wonder if Christine, listens to what people are saying. Maybe her kids do and tell her, because so much of what she was saying is what the viewers have been saying. I don't think she should, to be clear. Christine, if you're watching this, you don't want to watch this. This is not, go to a therapist to talk through stuff. You do not want to listen to our trash opinions. But so much of what, you know, they're like, oh, it's always the editing and stuff. So much of what we as the viewers have seen since the very beginning is now coming out.
Huh.
So, yeah, you can't, I mean.
I'm pretty sure those 2-hour episodes just had more commercials.
Yeah, there's no editing.
The same length of watching. It's a terrible show.
So, he talked to Robin. Robin didn't back him up 1,000%. He leaves all grumpy.
So he leaves snagging wife.
We've been watching Reservation Dogs, and so if you're not familiar, excellent show. I love it, but they use the term snagging, so that's what that is a reference to. We cut over to Janelle. Janelle has got COVID-19, and then Cody's like, I wonder how they'll fare.
Didn't he say last year, well, if you get it, I'll be over there taking care of you?
No, well, what he said was...
He did say that.
Well, yes. He said he would... Of course, if she got sick, he would have to take care of her. Who else would take care of her? And she's like, my sons would. My sons would take care of me. He's like, what? No. She's just like, of course I would rely on them, because the whole thing was, how dare you let them go out.
Kick them out is what he said.
Yeah, kick them out because they're going to give you COVID, and who would take care of you? I would be expected to take care of you. And she's like, no, my sons would, my children would. And then he was like, oh, your children? How dare you imply that it wouldn't fall on my feet? And she's like, of course my kids, I don't even see you, buddy. You know, it's good to chat to you occasionally, friend. So she's got it. He's like, well, I hope they fare okay. I know he probably meant, like, she won't die from it. But I was like, he doesn't even say anything like, obviously I'll be going over there dropping off food, making sure that they have all the insurance information for tele-appointments, make sure, checking in to make sure that no one, keels over and doesn't have what they need, any of that. He's just like, I hope they do okay. We can't even bother with the second message from Janelle to see how he's doing, because we have to go. Somebody on Twitter called it Cody's exit interview. She sits down. She's very calm. I know that people have mixed feelings on Christine. Christine's always, she's never bothered me, it seems, the way that she did some other people. I've never really seen her ask for things that seem like, this is not Mary in the wet bar. Remember that? They had these custom built homes and she had to have the wet bar. It was going to cost so much more than everyone else. Or when she wanted the family to have her child go to a private school and they were like, no other kids are getting that much in college. Like, we're not talking about that kind of situation. It always seemed like what she wanted was very reasonable, like her husband to show up when her child was being born instead of racing off to kiss his girlfriend, which he didn't even do with any of the others until they were married. Or maybe not, make sure that her child is drinking enough water and going to the bathroom when she leaves her. Things like that. So he comes in. Oh, and my point being, she's been very calm through this whole thing. She's used a decent tone. I don't feel that she said anything that wasn't true. I am biased because I think Cody is the trash of the world. He's terrible. If it was just him and Robin, then maybe I would say that he's a good... I mean, he does seem like he's a good husband to Robin. It's just... He's supposed to be a good husband to 4 women. And then say, okay, then... I know a lot of people are mad about the cheating thing with Mary, so then we'll say 3. He's not good to 3 of them. He's not even good to 2 of them, as we're going to see. And I already predicted this, which is... Janelle's the next marriage that all of a sudden is gonna fall apart. We even see in the previews, we saw it last season, we called it out then. There's a ticking time bomb. She said no to him, and it's all downhill. I really think that sealed the fate for her is when Christine said no to the one big house. I think that was when the relationship was always going down. I think it made a even bigger turn then. And then when she wouldn't listen to him to COVID, it went into a straight nosedive from his point of view in terms of investing in her. We're going to get to more of that later.
So who would you say is basement wife after watching that episode?
I mean, it's hard to say because neither Mary or Christine... Well, Christine is no longer a wife.
Mary's pretend wife at this point.
I know. Well, she
doesn't count.
He has literally said everything except leave. Which he won't say. He won't say leave. He just has said, I don't want to marry you. I don't want to. I don't want to be married to you. I don't want to repair a relationship in any way, shape, or form. I don't want to change how things are currently.
So who's basement wife?
I don't know. Janelle?
I'm thinking.
Okay. I mean, there's no one left. It's not Robin in her $1 million house with her bevy of children who have a full-time father. So he comes in, you move me to the garage, and she's like, yes, you said you aren't attractive to me, that you don't want to be intimate, and this was months ago, and so I cleared out my space. And he's like, I never said that. And then he goes...
Even though I said that, I didn't expect her to act that way.
Well, he says, I didn't say that. And if I'm not intimate with you, don't want to be intimate with you, it's because you don't, you don't treat... Well, he says, you're not acting right, is what he says. Later on, his exact complaint was, you don't treat your sister wives well. That Mary's not a sister wife, in his opinion. She says she's really close with Janelle. So who do we mean? We mean Robin. And she says that. He means I don't treat Robin and her children well enough, in his opinion. Which is not true, because, and TLC has the receipts and has been tweeting them all week where they show, and other people have, because they show the clip where Christine says, it really hurt my feelings when you don't let me babysit the kids. I would have loved to have the kids over. And Robin says, well, my niece is here, and so it just made more sense to have my niece be the nanny. And he even says, you
were never a mom to
you were never
all the kids.
To all the kids. We know that isn't Mary and Janelle's kids.
Their kids don't count.
He means Robin's kids, and there's proof that Christine wanted to watch them and care for them, and there was always some reason why she wasn't good enough. During COVID, it was the fact that they didn't listen to the protocols, but they've had a nanny since Vegas. In Vegas, her niece lived with her. There's still a lot of debate. There's a lot of people who still insist that the nanny in Flagstaff is still the niece. I don't care. A lot of people have said otherwise. They follow the niece. The niece is still in Vegas. I don't care either way. It doesn't change my opinion on the fact that...
What does the nanny do?
What does the nanny do? Am I wearing the right shirt? Yeah, I am. Make sure I was wearing the right shirt. I'm just randomly pointing to some graphics that don't say have anything to do with it. But there's always some reason why Christine hasn't... Do I think Christine's perfect? No, I don't think so. But there seems to be a lot of reasons why Cody doesn't like her that doesn't seem to have anything to do with reality. He just doesn't like her. Maybe he was never attracted to her. I think that I do not know a lot about the intricacies of polygamy, but there seems to be a lot of pride in having a lot of wives. It's like the Quiverful community where the more kids you have, the better you are, the more religious you are, the closer you are to God in their esteem. Seems to also be true for wives. We've had a lot of people in the comments who explain it. So I'm just repeating their comments. And so he just grabbed as many women as he could, and then eventually he found Robin and he genuinely fell in love. And now all of these other people are just getting in the way of his happily ever after with Robin. It does seem to me that Robin genuinely does want to have other wives while also maintaining what she gets from Cody. She seems to think that's possible. I think there's a very high likelihood that she will pressure him to have more wives. I don't know that he actually wants more wives. I don't know. That's just an opinion. I'm totally willing to change it.
He sure tried to say that he didn't want to get married to her.
He said that he didn't want to get married, which, okay... Hold on, let me just make sure I don't skip anything. Well, we'll just go with this. All of a sudden I went, I'm having deja vu. I remember him saying this, and I remember this is the same conversation he had with Mary. I didn't really want to marry you. I wasn't really attracted to you. I wish I had never gotten married to you. And I'm realizing he just keeps having this revision of history. You know, people are complicated, people who have things going on, but I've seen it happen to a lot of people when the marriage falls apart. In retrospect, they start saying, I never wanted to marry you, I was never happy, all that. And it does seem to be that someone better than me can pull out his discussion with Mary and lay it next to the discussion with Christine, and I bet you'll see that he is repeating a lot of the stuff that he said to Mary. Actually wasn't happy. It wasn't worth it. He shouldn't have been married, all that. And I predict that at some point, if the show continues long enough, he's going to have that conversation with Janelle. he actually wasn't attracted to her.
3 seasons from now.
I know. 95 seasons from now. I really am worried because this is the show that everyone tunes in to watch us talk about, that they're going to get rid of the show and then no one's going to watch us talk about anything because everyone goes, oh, you should recap this show, and then we recap it and no one wants to watch, and every week our views go down and it tanks our whole channel.
So, buy books. Read stuff.
Yeah, you can buy my books. Buy my books. I have a lot of books. Nikki Haverstock. Go to Amazon. They're all on Amazon right now. There'll be other places soon. I really should make better notes. What do you think that says? Anton? Robin?
Something I can't say on camera.
It does look like that. My goodness.
Should have been a doctor.
So anyway, so she says this has gone back way far. She does not say to when Robin joins the family. She says this goes all the way back to when I was pregnant. I was still working to financially support the family, something we've never really seen Cody do except his vague, I have business dealings. And so I would take care of the kids, and then I would go out and work. And Aspen was in 5th grade, and she was tucking the kids in. And I asked him...
Seems totally normal and healthy.
Yeah, I mean, this is a big part of
what, 5-parent household?
Right. 4 at that point, because I don't think Robin was... When Robin wasn't in the family until after Julie was born. So she said, and I asked you to come over and to tuck the kids in, and you said you were busy. And he's like, that never happened. And when she asked that, I told her that that was too much to ask. I had other commitments. And it's like, okay, once again, did she not ask that? Or did she ask for too much? Because you can't have it both ways. She either didn't ask for help.
It's really fun when you get to the end of it with somebody. Because they just make stuff up and then talk about the truth.
Yeah, we're going through that right now. I'm just kidding. We're not going through that.
I was thinking of, what's his name? Jeremy McCauley.
Oh, we had a fire. You shouldn't say his name, but we were at a small church and we had to fire a pastor. And at the end, he would just say, "Well, I did this. What I did? You said this and that." And we were like, "Dude, that's not. You're gone." And that's basically what's happening. Christine is firing him, and she is saying, "Why are you fighting on this? Why are you fighting me on this so hard? You don't want me." And it's clear he doesn't want her. And he's saying all that, but he is still
that
like...
That shuts him up, actually.
Well, we should work this out. And I'm like, we just saw you with Robin. You already said you're not going to work this out. Well, I don't get why she won't work on this. You said that for 2 years you heard that she wanted to leave. You didn't want to do anything then. You know, like you can't just wait out your problems and then be mad when the problems don't get better. So then he starts yelling about how you can't kick me out of this house. I bought this house. I bought this furniture. This is my home. And I'm like, no, TLC did. And we paid for it, you know. So, and then he starts talking about how you never wanted to be a mother to Robin's kids. You know, you never helped. And that's when I'm like, roll the footage. She begged to watch these kids. She said repeatedly, now maybe she only said it on the tell-all. But he didn't say... He didn't have any big comeback that says things like, well, when we offered this or that. There's always an excuse why they're not good enough. So then she's like, then just let me go. Let me go. You don't want me. You don't have that, you know. She said, well, he made this big deal.
But my money.
My money. She made this big deal about how he never said that he wasn't attracted to her. No. He never said he wouldn't be intimate again, but then he would say how he's not attracted to her and he doesn't want to be intimate with her because of her behavior. And it's like, and he said to us in the interviews, and this is the thing, this is where we start to see, I think she's like, I've seen you with other kids, you're a great parent with them. And it's like, she's watched the show. She's watched the show. It's crazy to me that how do I explain this? For years we've been saying, don't they watch the show and react? And every single season, nothing changed. It's like, if I had seen my husband say that about me on TV, you wouldn't need to wait for the season. You would be reading the headlines. You know what I mean? Like, if my husband went on national TV and said this, and then us as a family sat around and watched him say that, you would have heard me scream from your house. Right?
Probably.
So what we're actually seeing is finally what we would have expected to see, which is her reacting to having seen footage of how he talks to Robin's kids and how he talks about, when he says my kids, if he ever says my kids, he means his and Robin's
Right.
kids,
Because
including
he always makes the differential well with Janelle's kids.
with Christine's kids. But he never says with Robin. I mean, he does occasionally say with Robin's kids, but when he defaults to my kids, he is referring to Robin's kids, including her stepkids, over his other biological kids. So then all of a sudden he's like, just let her go, and this is, and then he starts saying, and so I'm just that easy to get rid of. And she's like, no, this is the devastating decision, but it's the right decision. And he's like, well, we should reconcile. And I'm like, what do you mean? You didn't have any interest in reconciling? Not a single place. I would say the entire...
I don't think that word means what he thinks that word means.
Well, it means, can you just get into line and just continue the status quo? And then he's talking about how he's made sure that everyone's been healthy. And I'm like, except Isabel. Isabel was in constant pain. You did nothing about that. And
he did. No, he did not do nothing about that. He said it can wait.
It can wait. And that Christine's making this up for attention.
Yes, because she wants to go on a vacation.
Yes.
Because you know what's an awesome vacation? Traveling super far and getting a kid's surgery. That must be super fun.
Super invasive surgery. Her half-sibling, so Janelle's son, came to meet her. And I've said a million times, maybe he couldn't have gone for 6 weeks. But he could have gone and quarantined for 4 days. At that point, they had tests. He could have been with her and come back, but he made zero effort.
She wasn't Snaggin' Wife's kid.
So in the People interview that's been kind of trickling out, this is what we said on the recap. This is what you said in the comments, is that the point that many people said, if it had been their relationship, the straw that broke the camel's back was when he was not there for Isabel's surgery. I said that seemed to be... You also seem to see a change in energy. She wanted so badly for him to be there. And then afterwards, she seemed to be... like there was something gone in her reaction. Like she was untethered from him. No longer did she want things from him. She thought it was fair to ask for things, but there was a noticeable change in her. In the interview, she said, that was really it for me. And I'm so proud of us for all nailing that. Also, she said through COVID, she realized she could do it alone. She didn't need him. She could do it alone, and she was doing it alone. And then she finally just says, it's clear that Robin's his favorite wife. I don't need to be the most important, but I wanted to be. And that's when, so she said that in the interview, and it was clear at this point in the relationship, they had moved over this hump, and it's now the slide down this relationship, because now he's like, well, you can't legally leave. I don't think you can legally leave. I do not know he is legally a parent, even though they're not married. It's going to be hard to, I don't know how this works. I don't know how this works in Arizona, but they have courts to decide these things, and people often do leave. And then if I had thought the first half of the conversation was crazy, the last 10 minutes was insane, where he's like,
my money, my money.
You can just go get a boyfriend and bring him back and join the family. And she doesn't seem to really... She
doesn't seem to acknowledge how just insanely crazy that is.
Right. I was like, you are out of your mind. Now, co-parenting is a thing. Like, if he was like, I need to see my kids, I want them to stay nearby. And she's like, all of the kids that have moved to Utah want to be near us and want to have a relationship. And there's a lot of kids now, and they're starting to have kids. And I know that she's really close with all of the kids. I don't know how close she is with Mary's child, who I believe is still in Utah, but I do not know. But I know that she's really close with all of Janelle's kids. And many of them have moved and gone to Utah. She's still close with Maddie, who is, I still think, back east. She flies out there and sees the kids. And that comes up a lot. We see that a lot where she's visited. She'll say things like, oh, I just got back from Georgia to see Madison, spending some time with them. It's very clear it's not this performance. It's very casual. And she's saying, we were there a lot. We want to be near them. And he's like, speaking of those kids, even the adult kids are coming to me and blaming me for stuff. And it's kind of like, I don't know why that would be Christine's fault if your adult children who are out of the house are still mad with you. Like, this is not the great comeback you think it is. This is like me saying, you think I'm a jerk. well, everyone thinks I'm a jerk. My neighbors think I'm a jerk. The pastor at church thinks I'm a jerk. The lady at school thinks I'm a jerk. And that's your fault. And it's like, okay, no, it sounds like what you're saying is, here's all the reasons why what I am doing is out of line.
Take a selfie. It's that guy.
It's that guy. And then he starts going, well, I'm really worried. My biggest fear is that you're going to marry someone and then they're going to want my money. My first thought is, what money? What money do they have? Aren't they constantly on the edge of bankruptcy? Secondly, that's your biggest fear? Okay, well, if there was, and this is what she says, this conversation has any doubts I had are gone. Because he's not fighting for her in any way, shape, or form. He's barely even fighting to see truly. He doesn't seem to have any
He just wants to look good on TV, and he's saying that what he thinks is enough.
And he thinks it'll make him look bad in polygamous circles or in his religious circles to lose a wife. This has nothing to... Because he's like, can't you just stay and pretend? Why don't you go get another husband and bring them back? And I'm like, okay, I don't know. Like, I get that there are people who get divorced and they stay close to themselves. It's fine. I'm not judging you. I'm just saying that as a pitch is really weird. And the fact that she says that's your biggest concern, the money. And he's like, yes. Okay, well, once again, truly has fallen off the list. Bless her heart, poor thing. She's like, that's not going to happen. I'm not going to go after your money. I hope she gets to get her the 1/5 that is hers. And then he says, well, don't you, something about Mary. Something about Mary. Very different movie. And she's like, I don't want that. I don't blame her. And then she's like, how about if instead of comparing it to Mary, I compare it to Robin? And then eventually she does compare it to Robin. He's like, you can't compare relationships. And it's like, once again, when it's convenient to him, it's one set of rules. That was a lot of episode. I know we went, even for us, super long, so you get a brownie point if you listened, and then we get to see the whole rest of the episode. We get to see Christine leaving, talking to people. We get to see Robin saying, blah, 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 I'm so sad. And then Robin turned around and being like, Mary, I know Cody has said that he hates you, wants nothing to do with you, and vomit the sight of you, wishes you had never gotten married, which even means you wouldn't have your child, but you need to stick through. And then she's like, I'm sticking through with you. And unfortunately, what we start to see is Janelle going through the same thing. We're not really a married couple. We're not functioning as a married couple. He doesn't seem to want to talk to me. He doesn't seem to be involved. And this slow slide with Janelle, and I hope it doesn't...
lots of crocodile tears from Robin and Cody.
Yeah, Cody is the victim in all this. Wouldn't you know it? He's the greatest victim. So thank you for joining us for another season. Hit me up in the comments and tell me everything that you feel with the season is over. Okay, bye.